March 15th, 2020. While you were panic buying toilet paper, the Federal Reserve was about to do something that would change your life forever. In a single weekend, they created more money than exists in the entire economy of Canada. Not printed, created, out of nothing. And here's the part that should terrify you. You paid for it. You just don't know it yet. By the end of 2020, central banks around the world had conjured $9 trillion into existence. That's more than the combined GDP of Germany, France, and the UK. But if you're watching this video, chances are you didn't see a dime. So where did it go? This is the story of the greatest wealth transfer in human history. And it happened while you were locked in your house. To understand what happened in 2020, you need to understand one simple truth. Money isn't what you think it is anymore. Your grandparents lived in a world where money was scarce. Banks had to have deposits before they could make loans. Governments had to raise taxes before they could spend. That world died in 1971 when Nixon severed the dollar's connection to gold. What replaced it was something far stranger, a system where money is created by typing numbers into a computer. This isn't conspiracy theory. It's literally how it works. When the Fed wants to create money, they don't fire up printing presses. A bureaucrat at the New York Federal Reserve opens a spreadsheet and changes a number. That's it. Before COVID, this process was relatively restrained. Sure, they did it after 2008, creating about $4 trillion over 7 years. But 2020? 2020 was different. In March of that year, as the virus spread and economies seized up, central banks faced a choice: let the financial system collapse, or do something unprecedented. They chose the money printer, and they chose violence. Here's how quantitative easing actually works, stripped of the jargon designed to confuse you. Step 1. The Federal Reserve creates money digitally, just decides it exists now. Step 2. They use this newly created money to buy assets, mostly government bonds and mortgage-backed securities, from banks and financial institutions. Step 3. Those institutions now have cash instead of bonds. The theory is they'll lend this cash to businesses and consumers, stimulating the economy. That's the official story anyway. Here's what actually happens. The big banks and financial institutions that sell bonds to the Fed pocket billions in instant liquidity. They don't lend it to your local restaurant or struggling family. Instead, they pour it into assets, stocks, real estate, corporate bonds, anything that generates returns. This creates a ripple effect. Stock prices surge, not because companies are doing well, but because there's an ocean of newly created money chasing limited assets. Real estate prices explode. A house that cost $300,000 in 2019 suddenly costs $450,000 in 2021. Same house, same neighborhood, just more money competing for it. If you owned assets before the money printer turned on, you got rich. Your stocks doubled. Your house became a retirement plan. If you didn't, you just got poorer. Your wages stayed flat while everything around you became unaffordable. This is the invisible tax. This is inflation. March 23rd, 2020, the day the dam broke. The stock market had just suffered its worst week since 2008. Credit markets were freezing. Corporate debt was imploding. The entire financial system was hours away from a liquidity crisis that would make 2008 look like a practice run. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell appeared on television with a message that should have made headlines around the world. The Fed, he announced, would buy assets in amounts needed to support smooth market functioning. Read that again. Amounts needed. No limit. No ceiling. Infinite money. Within weeks, the Fed's balance sheet exploded from $4 trillion to over $7 trillion. By 2022, it would hit $9 trillion. Think about that scale. In 8 years after 2008, they created $4 trillion. In 8 months during COVID, they created $5 trillion more. But the Fed wasn't alone. The European Central Bank, Bank of Japan, Bank of England, every major central bank on Earth turned on their money printers simultaneously. The global money supply expanded by over $9 trillion in a single year. And here's where it gets dark. Congress passed stimulus bills worth trillions more. Checks went out to families, $1,200, then another $600, then $1,400. Unemployment benefits, small business loans. Sounds good, right? Direct help to struggling people. Here's what they don't tell you. Those stimulus checks totaled about $800 billion, less than 10% of the total money created. The other 90%? It went to Wall Street, corporations, and the financial system. The Paycheck Protection Program, meant for small businesses, was raided by large corporations and wealthy individuals. Tom Brady got a PPP loan. Kanye West got a PPP loan. Megachurches got PPP loans. Millions of dollars forgiven, never to be repaid. Meanwhile, the stock market, supposedly a reflection of economic health, soared to record highs while 40 million Americans filed for unemployment. In April 2020, with bodies piling up and businesses closing forever, the S&P 500 had its best month in 33 years. The disconnect was complete. The economy was dying, the market was partying, and the money printer made it all possible. So, what happened when you create trillions of dollars out of thin air and hand most of it to people who already have money? Let's start with the obvious. Asset prices went insane. The stock market doubled from its March 2020 lows. Bitcoin went from $5,000 to $69,000. NFTs, digital pictures of monkeys, sold for millions. Housing became completely detached from reality. The median home price jumped 40% in 2 years. In some markets, it doubled. A teacher making $50,000 a year was now competing against investment firms with billions in Fed-created liquidity for the same starter home. Guess who won? Corporations like BlackRock used cheap borrowed money made possible by Fed policies to buy entire neighborhoods. They'd pay cash, 20% over asking, sight unseen. For the first time in American history, home ownership rates among young people actually declined during an economic recovery. But here's the thing about creating money. You can't create wealth. All that new money didn't make society richer. It didn't build more houses or train more workers or cure more diseases. It just redistributed existing wealth upward. The billionaire class added $5 trillion to their net worth during the pandemic. Trillion. With a T, Elon Musk's wealth went from $25 billion to $300 billion. Jeff Bezos added $75 billion. The wealth gap, already obscene, became a chasm. And then came the bill. By 2021, inflation started appearing. First in commodities. Lumber prices tripled. Used cars became unaffordable. Then it spread to food, gas, rent. The Fed insisted it was transitory, just supply chain issues, nothing to worry about. They were lying. They had to know. When you increase the money supply by 40% in 2 years, prices rise. That's not economics. That's math. By 2022, inflation hit 9%, the highest in 40 years. Your groceries cost 30% more. Gas doubled. Rent jumped 20%. But your salary? Maybe up 3% if you were lucky. This is the invisible tax in action. The money printer didn't just create dollars. It destroyed your purchasing power. Every dollar in your savings account lost 9% of its value in a single year. Your paycheck bought less. Your retirement got further away. The people who benefited, the asset owners, the connected, the already wealthy, they were fine. Their stocks and houses appreciated faster than inflation. But if you were living paycheck to paycheck, saving in cash, renting instead of owning, you got crushed. Here's the truly sick part. The Fed knew this would happen. They chose it. In internal documents released later, Fed officials debated how much inflation was acceptable. They decided a little inflation was worth it to save the financial system. Except it wasn't a little inflation, and it wasn't their purchasing power being destroyed. So they raised interest rates aggressively. Fastest rate hikes in 40 years. This crashed the stock market in 2022. Wiped out crypto, killed the tech bubble, made housing even more unaffordable as mortgage rates tripled. Hundreds of thousands lost their jobs as companies cut costs. Regional banks collapsed under the stress. The Fed's solution to the crisis caused by printing too much money destroyed demand by making everyone poorer, and it worked. Inflation came down, but the damage was done. An entire generation watched their chance at financial stability evaporate. The social contract, work hard, save money, build a future, revealed as a lie. Because in the modern economy, savers are punished and gamblers are rewarded. Prudence loses, leverage wins. The money printer guaranteed it. Here's what they won't tell you in economics textbooks. The money printer didn't save the economy in 2020. It saved the people who own the economy. There's a reason billionaires got $5 trillion richer while you're choosing between gas and groceries. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. Every dollar the Fed creates goes to banks first, institutions first, asset owners first. By the time it trickles down to you, it's already been extracted by landlords, corporations, and price increases. This is the game. And unless you own assets, you're not playing. You're being played. The next crisis is coming. It always is. And when it does, they'll turn on the money printer again. They'll tell you it's necessary, unavoidable, for the good of the economy. And once again, you'll pay the price while someone else cashes the check. The question is, what are you going to do about it? So, here's my question for you. If they can create trillions of dollars for Wall Street in a weekend, why can't they solve homelessness, student debt, or healthcare? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll be reading.